Good evening, I am just Sanya. Welcome to my video on orgasms in marriage. Just a disclaimer, this video is not suitable for children and it contains mature content that some persons might find uncomfortable. If you find this topic uncomfortable, you can check out one of my other videos on self-esteem, body positivity, relationships and dating. All right? I am a trained social worker, associate counseling psychologist with a background in theology as well. So let's get started. What is sex? Sex, from my point of view, is contact between a male and a female in which the penis penetrates the vagina. So I know there are a lot of other sexually related activities with different variations, but for the purpose of this video, I'll be focusing on vaginal sex, which I just defined. All right, so to this video, I bring my biblical Christian worldview, my professional knowledge and experience, and also my personal experience. So I was raised in a nuclear family with both parents are as Christians, very conservative in nature, and I was not privy to information about sex. Sex was not spoken of in the household, and that was how I was raised, and that also influences my view towards sex. Over the years, I have, increased in knowledge, understanding, experience to the point where I'm able to make a video about sex. Imagine that. So, all right, so let's get started. So, from the biblical point of view, there's nothing wrong with sex. God created it for a purpose to bond the man and the woman together in holy matrimony. In Hebrews 13, verse 4, it says that let the marriage be considered honorable above all, and the bed undefiled. Undefiled there doesn't mean that we introduce any little thing, any little fetish that is happening around, but rather that sex between a man and a wife is holy, it's pure. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good. It's good. Pardon me. And also in St. Matthew 19, verses 4 to 5, Jesus himself um, spoke of marriage, and he says that it's for this cause that a man leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. That becoming one flesh, is a part of the result of that sexual experience that is designed for marriage. All right, so with sex is cyclic. Cyclic, that means you can go around and around the cycle many times. So the first phase in the cycle is excitement. So for excitement, now you become aroused, right? And there are some physiological cues in your body that are telltale signs that you are aroused. So you might experience an increase in your body temperature, increasing blood flow to the breasts, causing them to kind of swell up, increased blood flow to the genitals, causing either an erection in men of the penis or an erection of the clitoris, as well as swelling to the outer layers of the vagina, the vulva, right? And it also changes the color, it gets a darker, almost purplish color because of the increased blood flow. You might experience other signs as well, the nipples becoming erect and so forth. This is showing that you are aroused. So you can be in the arousal stage for a few minutes, the excitement stage, a few minutes to hours, because you could be at work aroused all day, just sweeping it under the carpet. So next you move on to the plateau stage, which is similar to the excitement stage, but all those signs and symptoms are more intense, and there's more muscle tension sometimes. Some places that are designed for pleasure are also painful to the touch based on how intense and how contracted the muscles are at that time. If you're having sex during that time, you could also go up to the big bang, the big O, where there's a lot of convulsions in the body, in the pelvis, in the uterus. Your breathing patterns change, mind blown excitement, earth shattered glory. That's where you have the orgasm. And that's just for a few seconds. And then after that is the resolution, where your breathing pattern slowly, gradually comes back to normal. You don't have the swelling of the boobs anymore. The erection comes down, and you're left with this feeling of euphoria, or really pleasant feeling. All right, so this all of this is governed by some key players in the brain. So some neurotransmitters such as dopamine, oxytocin, and some parts of the brain to mention the hypothalamus and the amygdala. So the amygdala have to do with motivation, you wanting to have sex. The hypothalamus has to do with the urge, the libido, and more of the experience. So these neurotransmitters are sending chemical and electrical impulses around in the brain that is causing all of these signs and symptoms that you're experiencing throughout the cycle. So a woman can have multiple orgasms close to one another, but for men, it's important to know that there's a refractory period where after an orgasm, he has a break before he can have another one again. So that's it basically about sex. And now let us talk about what it is that will cause a woman, a big woman, married, to not have an orgasm. Why? Okay, so firstly, women do not have an orgasm every time they have sex. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But if you're not having an orgasm at all, then that is a red flag. Something wrong, right? So let's talk about that. So some of the things that affect sex is not just your physiological state, but also your social background, your attitudes towards sex, and your experience in the psychological and the social realm can influence, it can inhibit or support your sexual practices. So I began by saying I came from a very conservative family. So some persons who come from a very conservative background, they grow up inadvertently with a negative view towards sex. So these ladies now think, okay, it's bad, it's dirty, it's naughty, and all those little feelings that they have and sensations that is taking over them, they they tense up, they tighten, they resist it, and so they inhibit the natural response of the body during the sexual response cycle. So they bypass the orgasm. All right. How do you reverse that? All right, so I am suggesting just a couple things. One, that you change your sexual self talk. The things that you are saying to yourself about sex, you need to change those things. So I am suggesting this. You say, okay, sex is holy. God designed it. It's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to connect a husband and wife together. I deserve to have good sex. It's God's will for me to have good sex. It's God's will for me to have orgasms, mind blowing, excitement, world turnover, everything great. It is God's will. This is my right as a married person to enjoy this. All right? Things like that. Say things like that to yourself, to kind of shift those negative views before it's bad, it's dirty, it's naughty. Uh, I'm uncomfortable. Putting those thoughts in there. So, the next thing I want to suggest to you is attunement. Now, what do I mean by this? You're in this moment, you're there with your spouse. Don't think about the laundry that you have to fold or what you need to finish for work or what you you're in that moment, in that space at that time, and you give your attention fully to what is happening. So your mind is engaged. Deliberately pay attention to everything you're feeling, every touch that you're experiencing, everything, all senses engaged, feeling, sight, smell, taste, whatever. Whatever you're experiencing in that moment, focus on it, concentrate on it. Don't think about anything else. Let everything else go. Relax. If you find yourself tightening, take a deep breath, relax, and welcome the experience. Have an openness towards the experience. If something feels good, give the man what we call some positive reinforcement. Make us some, woo, wonderful. I love that. Make, you know, communicate. You don't have to use words to communicate. You can communicate with your body language, tone of voice, facial expression. Give the man some encouragement if he's doing something right. If something is not working for you, find a kind way to communicate that to him. All right. And just be open to the process. So attunement is very important. If you're focused on something else, you're distracted by your thoughts, you're not giving yourself over into it, like you're pouring out an offering. You understand? You can end up missing out greatly. So these are what I suggest. If that is not enough for you, I would also suggest that you get counseling to target some of those beliefs, those beliefs and those attitudes that is inhibiting you, preventing you from having your best sex. It's God's desire and will for you and your spouse to have good sex. You're supposed to have some orgasms. Your mind is supposed to be blown. It's supposed to have the convulsions, the noise, the excitement, the boom bang shebang. And it's, you be persistent, don't give up on it, keep on with the sexual self-talk, keep on with the attunement, do your best, present yourself, bathe, fix up ear, perfume up, even though you're in your room. Yeah, do your best, because it is your right to enjoy and to have good sex. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe.